So welcome to my channel, that's what we call the good life. Today we're going to be talking about all the things you can be planting or sowing in the month of November. Now if you've not already done so, if you could please subscribe, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my allotment, my home garden, and from time to time my home kitchen. Now believe it or not, there's actually quite a lot you can be sowing or planting this month. We all think that everything goes to sleep at this time of the year, but actually there's a whole host of things you can be planting and getting ready for next year, so you can be guaranteed some bumper crops. And I've already got started with some of those things already. Now one of the top things that I love planting is garlic, so you could be popping garlic in the ground now if you've not already done so. Other things you can be planting are onions, shallots. They can all be going in the ground, the overwintering types, and again mine are already in the garden. Another thing you can be planting, which I'm going to be doing today, and I'm going to be giving you some top tips on how to plant them and get really good germination, are some overwintering broad beans. I've got aquadols there, and also peas. I've got early onward peas there as well. So I'll be giving you some top tips at the end with some really great ways to get really good germination. So you can be planting some overwintering lettuce, which I would keep under cover. I've already put some out myself here. I've got some curly leaf lettuce, I've got some masunu, I've got some pak choi that I've put in there. The pak choi I'm just going to use as salad leaves and just cut the individual leaves off the stir fries. I'm not trying to make them get big at all, they're just there for salad leaves, and if I can squeeze any more in when I've got rid of the last of these tomatoes, then I will most definitely be doing that. You could even start off some kale just to have as small leaves. Now I was, well, unlucky and lucky in the fact that my kale got really attacked by whitefly really badly, and it was beyond saving. But unfortunately about a week later I popped into a garden centre and I managed to pick up these little beauties. So again, it's always worth checking out what's available at your local garden centres. I actually picked these up for 50p a tray and I've potted them on, and they're actually coming on really well. We're not too long there and I'll be able to start taking those leaves. Now I plan to put a few out and to cover them, to keep the birds off of them, but I'll probably keep a few in here as well just to edge my bets. And I've also got some purple sprouting broccoli that I got as small plants as well, and they're coming on really lovely. They were really tiny about a week or two ago, and they've, I don't know, quadrupled in size just in a short space of time. So it's well worth having a look in your garden centre and starting a few things off. Now something else you can be doing are sprouting seeds. So, you know, I've got a few different types here. Anytime over the winter you can sprout. I've got fenugreek that you can sprout. I've got, what else have I got? This is the one I can never pronounce and probably everyone loves when I say it. Alfalfa is another one, and I've also got a little packet there of mung beans, I do believe, so another really good one for sprouting. Now obviously you would do those indoors in a jam jar, or if you've got a sprouter. I've got a sprouter, so I quite often do those. Really good for salads, stir fries, you know, really nice addition to the mix as well. So another thing you can do is microgreens on your windowsill, so, or in your greenhouse if it's warm enough. So I've got mustard oriental, I've got chicory, of course good old-fashioned white mustard, and of course pak choi there. So if you want to do some microgreens just on your windowsill, just to add a little flourish of something homegrown, you can do that. But obviously they would all need to be in your home if you did that. Also rocket can be started off this time of year. I've got a packet there, but I've actually got some more sprouting in my garden, so that shows how easy it is for rocket to grow this time of year. And you could probably get away with some bright lights chard as well. Now there's also lots of other things you could be planting now if you wanted to. Now traditionally in the UK we always planted a lot of our fruit in the spring, but because of the changing climate, and it now can be really quite dry in the spring, an awful lot of the established growers are now planting their trees in the autumn, because we get a lot more wet weather. So if you want to plant any apple trees, pear trees, you know, cherry trees, that sort of thing. The other thing is soft fruits, you know, like raspberries, blueberries, you know, black currants, that sort of thing, red currants. Well, I've got a little blueberry bush here that I'm going to be popping out. I've already got 3 up at the allotment, but I've sourced myself another one, so I'm going to be putting that out as soon as possible in my little raised bed that I've got up the allotment as well. So nut trees as well. If you've got lots of room, which I haven't got room for any nut trees, you could try some nut trees. That'd be a really fun thing to do, to grow your own nuts. How awesome would that be? You might not get any for Christmas, but you will in a few years' time for sure. And that would be really novel to be able to do something like that. Now let's head over and I'll give you some top tips on how to start off your broad beans and peas. So this leads me on to my top tip to help you get really good germination with peas and broad beans. What you find with lots of peas, you know, whether it's runner beans, French beans, broad beans or peas, sometimes they don't germinate or they just rot in the ground. So I've got a really good way that my grandfather taught me on how to get really good germination on those things, so you don't waste so many seed and waste so much compost. So the first thing I've done, they've sprouted now, but what I did was I put them in this plastic container without any of the kitchen roll. So I put them in a plastic container, I soaked them overnight in water, then I drained them off, and then I put them between some wet kitchen roll. I put the lid on it, I didn't push it down completely, just so it's a little bit open. Not that it probably really matters either way, but I left them for a few days just to germinate, and I did exactly the same with the peas. So if you can see there, look, so I've got one that's gone fluffy, but as you can see most of them have germinated, and if they haven't I'll leave them for a little bit longer, but it just helps with the germination, so you only sow the ones that have germinated. Now I know some people put them straight into the ground with your broad beans. Now that is obviously an option. But I find that things like the slugs and what have you, or the birds, nibble them away this time of year because it's a little bit wetter. So I start them off in module trays, and I will be, in the short term, just keeping them in my greenhouse until they've established a little bit more. Now, if you've not already got a greenhouse, if you can just see our one over there, we did a lot of research in choosing the greenhouse, and we came up with that one in the end. So if you're thinking of getting a greenhouse because you want one either to put some bits in now or you want one ready for the spring, our one's a really good option. The only addition we added was the little window that opens up. So we have got an allotment shop, so if you want to head over to the allotment shop, it is in the description, and you can take a look at what it is and decide whether it might be right for you or not. So let's just put some compost in these. I'm going to put about 2 to a pot because it takes up less room. Don't worry too much about what way round you put them because they kind of like turn themselves around the right way anyway. So I'm just going to pop some of these in there and then just cover them with compost. So initially, like I say, I'm going to pop these in the greenhouse to get them started. You could just leave them in the greenhouse until it warms up next year, or you could pop them out and then put some fleece over them if it gets really cold. So with the peas do need to be kept under cover in the greenhouse. Now I'm probably going to try and actually plant mine once they've germinated and they've got to a decent size. I'm going to try and actually plant mine in my greenhouse if I've got room, and hopefully I'll get some either some early peas. I actually did them last year. I kept them in well actually I didn't have that good greenhouse last year. I had to put them in the summer house and they only just made it through the winter, but I still managed to get some early peas and early broad beans. So another question is why do we do broad beans and peas now when we could wait until the spring? Well, the simple answer is you'll just get them a little bit earlier. And if you want them a little bit earlier, like I do, and you could always just grow the peas for pea shoots if you wanted to anyway. So that's some of the broad beans done. I'll need to do another tray, and I'll also need to get the peas done as well. If you've not already watched my garlic video, I'm going to put a link up there for you to be able to watch that, because I talk about whether to plant supermarket garlic or whether to plant garden centre garlic, and how to plant it as well. So I have a little bit of a discussion on the research that I did. So if you want to watch that, you're very welcome to do so. I'd love to know what you're planting now, whether there's something new that you're going to be planting, or whether there's something that you always plant this time of year, come what may, and you always get good results. I'd love to hear how everyone else is doing.